So with the playing games officially wrapped up, we actually have the playoff seeding set. We know the matchups, and now we can finally look forward to Saturday, Sunday, and all the days after until the NBA Finals of non-stop playoff high-level basketball. And the playing game from an entertainment aspect has been a pretty good success for the NBA. I think a lot of people do enjoy the playing game, watching them and everything. It is high-level basketball. Basically early, like before the playoffs, we're getting very high level basketball, which is always fun to watch. Most of the games are actually pretty entertaining, but I have an issue with the playing games and kind of what we've seen over the past couple years, because the playing game started in 2020. It was way different than it is now. And after a couple years of it, I think I've made up my mind basically on my real opinions of the playing game and what it does for the league, and also my issues with it. So there's obviously positives that we get to see, like high level basketball, entertaining, sometimes even heated battles. And they're fighting for their season basically, but I am talking about the negatives and my thoughts on the negatives. And one of the main ones for me is the unnecessary injuries that we have seen in the playing games just this year. We have seen Jimmy Butler go down with the injury, with his MCL injury, and Zion hurting his hamstring, or I think it was his hamstring. He got hurt in his leg, and now he's questionable for the first round. And injuries happen in sports, every single sport, every single point of the season. There's injuries in the playoffs, finals, regular season. There's always going to be injuries, but it's unnecessary to me because the playing games have really only led to the top seeds winning anyways. Now there have been 3 separate occasions where the lower seed does go on to win and go to the playoffs. Like when I mean lower seed, I mean 9 through 10. It's only been the 9th seed that has advanced, but it's happened 3 times in the 4 years of the playing game where the lower seed actually does advance to go to the playoffs. That happened in 2021 where the Grizzlies beat the Warriors and they went on to the playoffs as the 9th seed, and the Hawks and Pels actually both did it in the West and East as 9th seeds in 2022. But every single playing game since the 2020 playing game, which was only one, it was the Grizzlies Blazers I believe, and it was only one playing game. Only 3 times it's happened where a lower seed actually advances, and at times I don't even really think these lower seeds deserve a chance. I don't know if that sounds super harsh or anything, but in my opinion, the Eastern Conference did not need a play-in tournament this year. The Hawks and Bulls did not need a chance to go to the playoffs. It would have been a travesty if one of those teams took away a playoff spot from the 76ers or Heat, who are much better this year, a ton of games ahead of the 9 and 10, which were the Bulls and Hawks. It would have been a travesty if one of those teams would have advanced. I'm talking about the Bulls and Hawks, especially because we know for sure they're getting swept. Whichever one would have made it, they would have gotten swept. So luckily they didn't make it. And that goes into my point of the top 7 and 8 seeds deserve those 7 and 8 seeds. They worked for it in the regular season, whether you think it was because of injury luck or whatever. They deserve those 7 and 8 seeds. They played the 82 games that were required, and they landed there by the end of the season. So in my opinion, I believe the regular season is the play-in tournament. That is where you go and play your basketball for seeding in the playoffs. The Warriors at one point of the season towards the end were resting their players because they were just going to settle with the 10th seed and just accept the fact that they were going to be in the play-in tournament. Now obviously they weren't going to jump up into the 6th seed and miss or skip out in the tournament and just go straight to the playoffs. That wasn't going to happen. But let's say there's no play-in game, they're not going to sit their guys. They're going to try and work for that 8th seed because the West was super close this year. And I don't know if this is me being like somewhat a traditionalist when it comes to NBA basketball and the format of everything. I get Adam Silver loves to advance the league and, make progress and, add new things and everything. I'm all for that. I love Adam Silver as a commissioner of the NBA. I think he's one of the best commissioners in all major sports. And the playing game looks pretty well. It's pretty entertaining. It's just when you look at it in more detail, it's kind of useless in my opinion. This video was not meant to be long. It was just kind of me ranting if I'm being honest, but I think it leads to unnecessary injuries. I think the 7 and 8 seeds that were placed there by the end of the 82 games deserved those 7 and 8 seeds. If anything, you want to keep the play-in and everything, not take it away from the league. make it where it was like the 2020 play-in, where you have to be within 2 games, I think it was, of the 8th seed and you were the 9th seed. You cannot just be 7 games below the 8th seed as the 9th seed and have a shot at making the playoffs. Because we know for a fact the Bulls and Hawks did not deserve a shot in the playoffs. I'm sorry if you're a fan of one of those teams, but you have to be honest with yourself. I know both teams had injuries and everything, with Zach LaVine and DeJounte and Trey always not being healthy, but I'm sorry. The other teams ahead of you were better and have a better shot at, I know it's a low shot, but maybe beating the Celtics in the first round like the Miami Heat do if they were healthy. So Jimmy Butler's hurt, Zion's hurt because of the play-in tournament in games where it was decided that they were going to go to the playoffs like it was supposed to be anyway, because they were the 7 and 8 seed, whichever one. The only real thing that changed was matchups, which is pretty important if we're looking at the playoffs. Like the Pelicans, if they were to stay the 7th seed, would have won against the Denver Nuggets, and the Lakers would have won against the OKC Thunder. So it did change the matchups, but if you want to get real intense basketball and decide seeding and everything when it comes to the 7 and 8 seeds, you can just look at the end of the 82 games, and those games would be very competitive like the play-in games, but it's just part of the 82 game schedule. It's not extra basketball. And also a weird thing about the play-in game is that these stats don't go anywhere. Like Kobe White just scored his career high 42 points in the play-in game, and his stats don't show up anywhere because, like, for some odd reason, it's not, they don't have a separate section for stats for the play-in game. It's because it's not counted as the playoffs and not counted as a regular season. I was kind of all over the place in this video. I apologize for that. Just kind of wanted to make this video after the play-in games were all finished and we looked at all the seedings and saw how it really wasn't that different if it would have just ended after the 82 games, and that would have been the seeding for the playoffs. And the play-in game is very fun to watch, very exciting basketball, especially that one year where it was Lakers Warriors in 2021, I believe, where it was that crazy matchup. But to me, it just kind of feels like the NBA reaching for more money, more viewership, and it's working because it is entertaining basketball, but we're starting to see that these players are getting hurt, and also getting hurt at the point of the year where everyone's banged up at this point. 82 games in, everyone's tired, everyone's banged up, but they're preparing for the final stretch, and the bottom seeds have to work for a seeding that they already had throughout the 82 games. But anyway, I don't want to make this video too long, and I don't want to start repeating myself too much, so if you guys like this video, hit the like button down below, subscribe button, notification bell, so you will be notified every time I upload. And let's get ready for these playoffs. I'm going to try and get my playoff predictions off before tomorrow's games, or maybe during, maybe in the middle of the day or something. But I promise you, it's going to be out, or it's going to be made before the games start. So be tuned in for that, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Peace out.